Shavua Tov u'Mevorach. Today, the third day of Adar, the third day of March. Today's class dedicated for the Refuah Shelema of a young child, Haim Eli ben Meital Meirav, among the Holim of Am Israel. We're going to try to touch some basic information about the upcoming celebration of Purim next week, since next week I'm not going to be in town for the early part of the week. So B'ezrat Hashem will try to cover some basic halachot. Next week, next Monday or Tuesday will not be a class. Okay. But God willing, the following week resumes with Hashem's help. Page 76. We have been learning for the past few weeks magnificent lessons from the Pirkei Avot, especially in the 5th chapter of Pirkei Avot. We went through the miracles of the Bet HaMikdash. We went through the generations from the creation of the world. We went through the reason why many challenges come down to the world. And now we're going to get moving on, discussing relationships between people. Page 76. Arba'a midot, arba'a rather, not arba'a, because it doesn't have a he. Arba'a midot va'adam. There are 4 types of character trait among people. Ha'omer, the one who says, Sheli, Sheli, what is mine is mine. Beshelcha, Shelach, and what is yours, it's yours. Zo midat benonit. This is average behavior. Because yours is yours, mine is mine. Beyesh omrim, and there are those who say, Zo midat sedom. This is the characteristic of Sedom. I will discuss soon why. Sheli, Shelach, Beshelcha, Sheli. What's yours, it's yours. What's mine is mine is an ignoramus, unlearned person. Sheli, Shelach, Beshelach, Shelach. What is mine, it's yours. And what is yours, it's yours. Hasid. This is the pious person. Shelcha, Sheli, Vesheli, Sheli. But what is yours, it's mine. And what is mine, it's mine. Rasha. This is the wicked person. So we went to an extreme. Now, let's try to understand this particular Mishnah. How can I say that something that is yours is mine? And how can I say that something that is mine, it's yours? That is your cell phone. That is not my cell phone. That is your purse. That's not my purse. So why the Mishnah says, Sheli, Shelach, what is mine, it's yours. How could it be something that is mine belongs to you? So let's read very quickly the footnote on page 76. Why the Mishnah said, when you say what it's mine, and what it's yours. The second opinion in the Mishnah says, Zomidat Sedom. Now remember Sedom Ba'amora were from the worst citizens in mankind, among mankind. So it says as follows, Sedom, residents displayed the epitome of selfishness. Literally, according to this view, having an attitude, each man for himself, is not merely average, but unethical, since it negates the entire concept of charity and benevolence. When we give charity, what I'm trying to say, even though the money is in my pocket, but actually it's yours. You follow me? I know that, may sound a bit strange, but Hashem gives the person money to do good things. Obviously, people have Behira Hofshit. People have the freedom of choice. But part of the blessing of money is not only to provide for our families, but is to help the widow, the destitute, the orphans, needy brides, synagogues, Torah institutions, etc. So let's read very, very quickly what Rabbeinu Obadiah explains in this particular Mishnah. Rabbeinu Obadiah of Bartenura, one of the most famous commentators of the Mishnah, says I don't want nothing from you, and I don't want you to want something from me. That's also wrong. That's also wrong, because you're telling the person, whatever it's yours. Whatever is mine is mine. I don't have the way. I don't have the way, unfortunately. Get me one of the workers. It's recording live. Once I'm recording live, I can do nothing about it. Don't worry. It says, another case, Sheli shelach beshelach sheli. Whatever it's mine, it's yours. But whatever it's yours is mine, Hamaris. Why? Because it says this type of behavior, although it's good to understand, but actually it says no. It says that even the person needs, no, I meant, get me a worker, please. If you can get me one of the workers. Outside, maybe get Juan Carlos. Thank you so much. It says that even when there is a concept of a person wanting to share with others, but not everything is to be shared. We'll go now quickly to the Me'am Lo'ez to truly help us understand this particular Mishnah. So the Me'am Lo'ez, in this Mishnah, chapter 5, Mishnah 10, I have it right here. It says, when a person says, I don't want you to take from me, and I don't want you to take, and I don't want to take from you, this is average, not a good way, not a negative way. Muy frío. Levántalo, por favor. Thank you, Juan Carlos. It says one of the ways that this can be prevented, of having this attitude of wanting what somebody else has, is reminding ourselves the 10th commandment. The 10th commandment, the last one, talks about coveting. The Pasuk writes, Lo tahmod. Thank you so much. Better? Everybody better now? Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Lo tahmod. The Torah writes, do not covet. Sometimes people covet the home, the car, the fame, whatever it may be. Now, why there is like a prohibition to act in that particular way that is connected to jealousy, envy, etc.? Because in a way, the person is saying, I'm not happy with what God gave me. And the Mishnah wrote already the concept of happiness, hasameach behelko, a person that is happy. So our rabbis tell us that there is two levels. I'm happy with what I have. I'm happy with what I have, but I'm also happy for what you have. It's not so easy. Sometimes when somebody hears about somebody, say, I wish I could have had it. I wish I could have done it. I wish I could have gone to that particular place. And the Mishnah writes, if you're going to be always looking at the other side, at the other person, you will never be thankful. It's like I said today, I did not say it. I'm going to say it to someone, but it's written that a person that is feeling unhappiness in the life. And there are many reasons why somebody may not be happy. But it says, if the lack of happiness is affected in an emotional basis, one of the ways to remove that, to reverse that feeling, is actually that a person should start looking at the reasons why to be grateful. So if you start saying to yourself, I don't understand, I'm complaining about this, but then suddenly, what do I see? I have a family, I have siblings, I have relatives, I have health, I don't have any issues, Baruch Hashem, of medical conditions, etc. So at the end of the day, you start, and he says, put it in writing. So you look at the list, and then you say, wow, unbelievable. I'm much better than many people. And you got to do this, often. You don't understand that often people go through some challenges of the mind, let's put it this way, because they are only concentrating in the negative, in the challenge. And I'm not saying that life has no challenges. Life has challenges, more than you think. We don't speak about it, but life has challenges. If I ask you, tell me one challenge in your life, which I will never do, obviously, because it's not proper. But I guarantee you that everyone will say, I wish that this is different. I wish that my family situation will be better. I wish that my relatives' health will be better. I wish that this can be changed. At the end of the day, everyone has its own luggage. Nobody carries somebody else's luggage. And guess what? HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives the custom-made scenario for the person themselves. And that's the reason why here the Mishnah brought something very, very interesting. The Gemara writes a very interesting concept. How do you recognize the essence of a person? The Gemara brings 3 scenarios. There are 3 scenarios that you can say, this is a good person or this is not a good person. Gemara number 1, very famous Gemara in Erubin. You know the answer. Koso, how they drink alcohol. If alcohol is the best friend, God forbid, big time, Hazak, I'm glad to hear that. Kiso, finances. Kaso, anger. Does the person has a short fuse, or a person is able to be calmado? Which we're going to be discussing maybe 2 weeks from now. One of the Mishnayot that talks about anger management. What is the type of personality that is the ideal? But allow me to share with you something what the Gemara writes. It says, first of all, that in America, for example, the Pele Yoes says it. He doesn't use the word America, but I add it. It says there are people that after they finish work, what they do? They go drink. How do you call this in America? Happy hour. Happy hour. So America is telling you there is an hour of the day that you need to be happy, yani, and we're going to tell you how to be happy. You want to be happy? Drink alcohol. That's what basically when they say happy hour, what do you think? They go to play Yaakov Shweki music? No. I say Yaakov Shweki because he may be listening. I don't know. Okay. Or his mother-in-law maybe. Is she here today? No. Okay. But anyways, no, she comes to the class usually. Yes. Anyway, no name please for security reasons. So imagine yourself, it says here, people who find themselves sometimes in challenges, what they do, they run to the wine. That's what it says here. Lishkoach etzev yegonam. They drink the wine, believing that the wine will mitigate the challenge that they have. That's a problem. Number 2, when it comes to money, it says, Bema sheyesh lahem, whatever they have, they justified, but that justification, it makes them to become glued to their money. What does it mean? Vatranut. Vatranut means let it go. The Gemara writes, Iyov batran bebamone hava. He will not make a big deal about money. I'll bring you one example. Imagine yourself, you go to the supermarket and they have to give you change, let's say 15 cents, 24 cents, etc. and you tell them, keep the change. Or you go to a place and you give a tip. Now, today, getting change in coins, the pennies, we're not going to have pennies anymore. So it's going to be a whole question how they're going to handle it. But imagine yourself, and even banks or pharmacies, when you go, they slide the card, they ask you, round up? Don't they ask you to round up the change? What they do with that change? Either they donate it to a special fund of needy or medical cases, whatever, and whatever it may be. So he says, bank also. There is a bank, at least Bank of America used to offer this, that they take the leftover change and they put it in a savings account. So you build penny by penny, so to speak. Penny today became very expensive, more than the face value. That's a different show. Or when it comes to anger. When it comes to anger, there are people who their personality triggers a reaction. Big time. In English, they call it short fuse, I think. There is such a word in English. Short fuse. A person that has a short fuse. For anything, there is a reaction, there is a negative comment. The Gemara writes that these three types of behavior, making a big deal out of money, crying poverty when they don't have it, drinking habits, and anger can automatically give you the DNA of the person. But the opposite, it says, Adam Ba'al Midot Tovot, a person that is refined, a person that has good manners, so to speak, Nimna Mehem Bechol Ed, stays away from this. When it comes to money, make a settlement, because being happy is more important than being right. I repeat, being happy is more important than being right. Sometimes when it comes to financial disputes, I'm telling you from professional experiences, people change. People change. And for the sake of money, people do whatever they need and they want, and many times it's not the right thing to do from a halachic perspective, etc. And a good person will say, you know what? Mevater. Let's do a settlement and that's it. Or you know what? Take it. I'd rather be good with you than start having a mahloket, so to speak. And that midah of vatranut, of being easygoing, yielding to others, and just moving on, it's an unbelievable benefit. The Gemara that we learned today in the morning tells us two stories about two great Talmidei Hachamim. One of them that merited to live a very long life. And they asked him, what did you do to live such a long life? You know what he said? I never went to sleep upset. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. So the fact that the Gemara tells us this was, so to speak, a beautiful way of being, now we understand. You know why going to sleep happy or not going to sleep with anger gives you longevity? Because you sleep better and your body functions in a happy way. Shlomo Amalek says that God forbid, after 120 years, the body decays. It's a reality of life. I'm sorry, but it's a reality of life. But Shlomo Amalek says, you want to slow down the process? Don't be jealous. Shlomo Amalek says, Rekev atzamot kin'ah. The decaying of the bones is activated by envy. You know why? Because when a person has envy, you don't portray it. Anger can be portrayed. happiness, etc., can be portrayed. But envy stays inside of the heart. So where that envy goes to, I give you the short answer, floats throughout your body, and the bone absorbs that negative feeling of the person, and once the person leaves the world, now the envy says, okay, I'm leaving. And that leaving transition, it leaves a sequel on the remains of the person. Deep. They ask another rabbi, why did you marry to live so long? He says, because I never went to an extreme of fighting with people. No fighting, which I'm sure that many of us do that. But this rabbi was mevater. Mevater means be easygoing. Yield to others. So somebody asks, what, you always need to be that way? No, maybe there are some moments or some situations that you need to stand your ground. But overall, there are people that their personality is that way. And the Gemara is telling us that personality, it affects your life. Not only spiritually, but health-wise as well. Very powerful, magnificent explanation from the Me'am Loes. So, with that being said, let's transfer now the remaining few minutes of the class with Purim, not Pesach. Don't be afraid. Pesach still we have a couple of weeks, but Purim is around the corner. So I'll start first of all with this upcoming Shabbat. And Be'ezrat Hashem, in a few days, we should have the Purim guide ready. And God willing, we'll share it via WhatsApp or via email to the Kahal Kadosh. So rule number one is this particular Shabbat. This particular Shabbat, it's known in Jewish law as Shabbat Zachor. Zachor is the famous Shabbat that the Halakha says everyone should make the effort of coming to the synagogue to listen Zachor from the Torah reading, and the synagogue should utilize the best Sefer Torah that they have. Why? Because the reading of Zachor, according to most opinions, is a mitzvah ta'aseh mideoraita. It's a biblical commandment to listen to Perashat Zachor. Zachor, reason why we read it Shabbat before Purim, short answer. Because our enemy in Megillat Esther was obviously Haman, which was a direct descendant from Amalek. Now, who was Amalek? I'm sure you know the answer, but I'm going to say it just in case. Amalek was the grandson of Esav. Was Esav, Eliphaz, Amalek. A few generations after Amalek comes Agag, the king of the Amalek nation. That was the king that Shaul failed to execute, and for that reason Shaul, Amalek, was removed from the kingdom, so to speak, until David Amelech came to be the next king of Israel. That was the reason why Shaul Amelech, a few months after this incident, passes away in the act of war, and the next king of Israel is David Hamelech alav shalom. Now, also, Megillat Esther. Esther and Mordechai, the way it says in the Megillah, were relatives. Both of them were descended from the tribe of Binyamin. It's important to know this. The Megillat Esther says, Ish Yehudi haya b'Shushan Abira. There was a Jew, Ushmo Mordechai ben Yair, ben Shimei, ben Kish, Ish Yemini. So Ish Yemini means the tribe of Binyamin. What does it matter who was the great-grandfather of Mordechai? Answer number one, he was the descendant of Binyamin. So what? What difference does it make if he's a descendant of Binyamin or descendant of Yehuda or Shimon? Short answer, because Binyamin was the only son of Yaakov Avinu that did not bow down to Esav. When Yaakov came back from the house of Lavan, and the Torah tells us how everybody walked in front of Esav and bowed down, the only one that did not bow down was whom? Binyamin. He was born after this. So what difference does it make if he bowed down or not? Short answer is that the fact that he did not bow down against Esav, Mordechai had the power not to bow down in front of Haman, which was a direct descendant of Esav. Additionally, the Pasuk writes, Ben Shimei, Ben Kish, Ish Yemini. Kish was the father of Shaul. The king Shaul was called Shaul ben Kish. So you go back in history. So you have Mehila. You have, one second. You have Binyamin, Shimei, Kish, and Mordechai. So Mordechai is direct descendant of Shaul. Remember why Shaul lost the kingdom? Because he failed to execute Agag, which was the great-grandfather of Haman. So in theory, if you follow this lineup of names, so suddenly we see that Haman and Mordechai is the sequel of Agag and Shaul. So Shaul's great-grandson Mordechai comes to make the tikkun of Shaul for not executing Agag back then in the beginning of the book of Shmuel. Now, one more important two things I like to say. Number one, the Pasuk says, Ushmo Mordechai ben Yair ben Shimei. Shimei. Who was Shimei? Shimei ben Gera was the teacher of King Solomon, was a great Talmid Hacham. He is the one that cursed King David. He cursed him by Kalelehu Kelala Nimbreset. He called him Noef, Mamzer, Roseyah. Yani he called David the worst names. Now, David being a king had the power to get rid of him. Why? Because he's the king. If somebody mistreats a parent, the parent can forgive the children. If somebody mistreats a rabbi, the rabbi has the permission to forgive. But he can tell the person, I don't forgive you. And you have to come back. Mehila. No. How many times? 1,000. A rabbi is 1,000. A regular person is 3 times. A king can never forgive. That's the line. Kings, no. Rabbis, 1,000. Regular people, 3 times. Remember that. So what happened with the king? So the king, now everybody's here is good, so I don't have to worry about that. Now, Baruch Hashem, thank God, no complaints. So now David Amalek has the power to execute Shimei. His nephew, Abishai ben Seruya, says to David, can I get rid of this fellow? David Amalek says, no. Don't touch him. And that's when David Amalek says, why do you want to execute him? because he cursed me. So David Amalek says, he cursed me. God is cursing me through him. That level of self-control caused Mordechai to be born. If David executes Shimei ben Gera, say Kaddish on Mordechai, because Mordechai will have never been born. Esther Amalka neither. So the self-control of David Amalek prompted Mordechai to be born. Deep. I'm giving you the background to understand what's going to be happening this Shabbat. So, everyone should make the effort to come to the synagogue to read Perashat Zachor. If for some reason you cannot read it, open the Chumash and you'll see it at the end of Sefer Shemot. You have the 3 lines of Perashat Zachor. The question is, why ladies need to listen to Perashat Zachor? Perashat Zachor is what? The mitzvah of erasing Amalek. How do you erase Amalek? By the act of war. You need to go to war. According to our Torah and according to the laws of the Goyim, until recently, the ladies were respected of not going to the battlefield, modesty, respect, parenting, etc. So then why do we say everyone, including the ladies, should come to the synagogue to listen to Perashat Zachor, to the point that Hacham Obadiah Yosef rules that in the afternoon, if there is a group of ladies, a minyan of ladies that did not listen Perashat Zachor, the rabbi opens the Sefer Torah and reads Zachor for the ladies that were not in the morning at the synagogue. Without fail, every year we do it. And most likely will not be different this year. Every year we do it. Sometimes we have ladies, sometimes we have men, but there's always customer. The question is, what's the real deal with Amalek? Why the emphasis on Amalek? So the short answer is as follows. There are 2 types of Amalek enemies. One is the physical nation. Let's call them anti-Semitism, Nazis, Inquisition, terrorism, Hamas, Crusaders, pogroms, communism, whatever ism you want to put, it's connected to Amalek. Why? Because it comes with one goal, to destroy the Jewish people physically, but also spiritually. Where do we learn it from? It's a pasuk from the Torah. Asher karecha baderech. What's the meaning of the word karecha baderech? Karecha can be explained in 2 ways. One of them is that he came to your encounter after we left Egypt. Amalek says what Paro was child's play. We can get rid of the Jewish people. Paro was weak. Another explanation, much deeper, says karecha, that came to turn you off. So our rabbis tell us that Amalek is the blockage that is activated in the life of the person to prevent the person of growing spiritually. And where do we see it from? From the word Amalek. So I'm going to spell out the word Amalek. In Hebrew, makes a lot of sense, but I will translate it for everybody's benefit. 1 second. You're going to listen to what I'm going to say now, and you're going to say, Rabbi, you're so right. So Amalek stands for 4 ways of stopping our growth. The first letter of Amalek, what letter is it? Ain. You know what Amalek says? You're about to do a mitzvah. You're about to do something good. Suddenly the Ain says, Achshav lo. Not now. I can do it later. I have time. procrastination. The mem, mahar, mañana. How many times you hear this? Can you do this for me? Mañana, mañana. What's the rush? The lamed, lo yachol, I can't. And the kof, kasheli, is very difficult. These four expressions, I cannot now, tomorrow, it's impossible, or I cannot, or is very difficult. These four statements is what often blocks the person of doing the right thing. We all have the inner voice. Don't feel yourself to be so exclusive. We all have the inner voice. You want to do something? I can tell you. I need to do something. Okay, what's the rush? Purim is next week. I need to fight. You see me walking around with this book of Tehillim? You know why I walk around with it? Because I've been holding this book of Tehillim since 8 o'clock in the morning in my hands. It's 12 o'clock and I wasn't able to open a page. And I wasn't fooling around. I was learning, teaching, answering questions, doing some office work, Kolel campaign. No, stop. I hope that I'm going to be able to read it today. So imagine yourself, a person who, forget about the Tehillim, you want to do a mitzvah, and then suddenly tell you, okay, what's the rush? Wait. Says the Torah, when it comes to these challenges, no one is immune. Men or ladies have the same Megillah. That's why it's called Megillat Esther. And Mordechai. Because both of them represented going against the grain, so to speak. The remaining of the mitzvot this year is very interesting because Ta'anit Esther is Thursday, Megillah Thursday night, Friday morning. So the famous question is the Seudah of Purim. When to do the Seudah. The earlier you do the Seudah, the better. And Friday means you can do the Seudah 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday. You can do it 12 o'clock. But make sure like 3 hours before Shabbat, you're done. So you're able to rest if necessary, or at least not eating any longer. So this way, when a few hours later Shabbat dinner comes, you're going to be able to enjoy the Seudah of a Shabbat. The rest of the mitzvot, Mishloach Manot, Matanot Le'Evyonim, Zecher Machazit HaShekel, they are all the same, but the Seudah, we need to be careful of doing it as early as we can, so we are able to enjoy later on at night the beautiful Seudah of Shabbat Kodesh. Ideal Seudah of Purim should constitute bread, meat, and wine. Or even on Friday, sure. No difference in the halakha, because that's really what constitutes a Seudah mitzvah, specifically with the concept of bread. So I'll take advantage to wish everybody a Purim Sameach. Next week, as I said, we will not have a class, but I say Shavua Tov to the Torah.